It was a night just like any other during my college years, except for the fact that it was the night I should have died. 10 years ago, I walked home alone from a late study session, taking my usual shortcut through an isolated part of campus. The area was poorly lit, surrounded by thick trees that whispered secrets in the wind. As I hurried along the path, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A notification. Battery low, 10%. I ignored it, eager to get home. That's when I heard it, the soft crunch of leaves behind me. Thinking it was just a squirrel, I didn't look back. But the sound grew closer, more deliberate. A chill ran down my spine when I realized someone was following me. I quickened my pace, but so did my pursuer. The crunching turned into heavy footsteps. My heart pounded in my chest as I broke into a run, my breath forming misty clouds in the cold air. Just as I reached a clearing near the dorms, I risked a glance behind me. In the moonlight, I saw a figure cloaked in black, a glint of metal in their hand. Panicking, I stumbled over a root and fell, my phone flying out of reach. The figure loomed over me, and I saw the knife, sharp and eager. But before it could come down, a group of late-night revelers turned the corner, laughing loudly. Startled, the figure vanished into the shadows as quickly as they had appeared. I reported the incident to the police, but without a clear description or evidence, there wasn't much they could do. I tried to move on with my life, but the fear never left me. Now, 10 years later, the memories are resurfacing. It started with subtle signs, a shadow darting away as I turned on the streetlights at home, the feeling of being watched whenever I was alone. Then the messages began. First, it was a note under my windshield wiper that read, "I haven't forgotten." Then emails from an untraceable address, each one counting down. 10 years, 9 years, 11 months, 30 days, 9 years, 11 months, 29 days. The police say it's probably a prank, but I can't shake the feeling that it's more sinister. The fear has crept into every corner of my life, making me question every shadow, every unfamiliar face. I've started documenting everything, setting up cameras around my house, logging every strange occurrence, desperate to find answers, or maybe just to prove I'm not going mad. Tonight, I noticed something off. One of my cameras had been disconnected. As I reviewed the footage, I saw it, a figure in black, pausing just outside the frame, only visible for a moment before the screen went blank. I'm posting this now because I don't know what might happen next. I need to be ready to catch whatever or whoever is taunting me. But deep down, I know I escaped death once, but can I do it again? The days that followed were filled with unease. Every creak in my house seemed to whisper secrets. Every gust of wind through the trees sounded like footsteps. I started sleeping with the lights on, a knife under my pillow for comfort, though I knew it wouldn't be much help if my stalker decided to return. Despite the fear, I pushed myself to maintain a semblance of normalcy. I went to work, met friends for coffee, laughed at jokes that no longer seemed funny. But behind every smile, behind every casual conversation, there was a constant vigilance that exhausted me. One evening, I came home to find another note. This time, it was taped to my front door, a simple message scrawled in jagged handwriting, "See you soon." My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone to call the police. They arrived quickly, but once again, there was little they could do. They suggested I stay somewhere else for a few days, maybe get away from the house. But I couldn't. Leaving felt like giving in, letting my stalker win. I decided to delve deeper into the past, trying to unearth any clue that might reveal the identity of my pursuer. Digging through old emails and messages from my college days, I stumbled upon an old group photo. a night out with friends, all smiles and unsuspecting joy. As I scanned the faces, my blood froze. There, in the background, was the figure in black. Not fully in view, just on the edge of the frame, but unmistakably there. Had my stalker been someone I knew? A forgotten acquaintance whose obsession had gone unnoticed? The thought made my stomach churn. I spent the next few hours poring over every piece of communication from that year, looking for any hint of malevolence, any trace of the darkness that now haunted my life. That night, as I lay restless in bed, the streetlight outside flickered erratically. A shadow passed my window, a distortion of light or something more sinister. I rushed to the window, peering into the darkness, but saw nothing. The quiet of the night seemed to mock me, the silence a stark contrast to the storm inside me. Determined to capture evidence, I set up more cameras, this time focusing on areas both inside and outside the house where shadows lingered longest. I tested each one, making sure they covered every possible angle. Exhausted but unable to sleep, I sat watching the live feeds, waiting for something, anything. Hours ticked by, and just as I was about to give in to fatigue, it happened. On one of the screens, the figure appeared, clearer this time. They were in my house. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. They moved with eerie silence, pausing at the threshold of my bedroom door. Our eyes met through the camera, a chilling smile spreading across their hidden face. The camera feed suddenly went black. I scrambled to my feet, grabbing the knife from under my pillow as the bedroom door creaked open. As the bedroom door creaked open, my heart hammered in my chest. The dim light from the hallway silhouetted a figure that seemed both menacing and familiar. Knife in hand, I braced myself for the confrontation I had been dreading yet desperately needed. The figure stepped forward, and the light caught their face. My breath caught in my throat. It was Emily, my college roommate, someone I hadn't seen in years. Emily? I gasped, my grip on the knife loosening. What are you doing here? Why are you doing this? Her eyes, once warm and friendly, were now cold and calculating. I needed you to feel it, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The fear, the uncertainty, the feeling of being hunted. But why? I stammered, confusion and betrayal swirling inside me. We were friends. Friends? Emily laughed, a hollow sound that echoed through the room. You forgot me, just like everyone else after the accident. You moved on with your life, leaving me to pick up the pieces of mine. I was alone, forgotten by those I cared about most. You needed to remember, to understand. The memory hit me like a wave. The car accident during our senior year, a night of celebration turned tragic. Emily had been driving. I was supposed to be in that car too, but at the last minute I stayed behind. The guilt had gnawed at me, but over time it had faded, buried under the demands of daily life. Seeing her now, the weight of those unspoken years between us filled the room. I'm so sorry, Emily. I didn't know you felt abandoned. I thought you wanted space to heal. Heal? Emily's voice cracked. How could I heal when everyone I loved turned their back on me? As the tension between us grew, I realized the extent of her pain and isolation. I'm here now, I said, setting the knife down and reaching out to her. We can fix this together. You don't have to be alone anymore. Emily hesitated, her expression wavering between anger and desperation. Finally, she dropped her own knife, and we embraced, years of misunderstanding melting into a moment of shared sorrow. The following weeks were a blur of therapy sessions and long conversations as we both tried to heal from the scars of our past. Emily's actions, driven by pain and abandonment, had brought us back together in the most unexpected way. As we rebuilt our friendship, I documented our journey, sharing our story on a new channel dedicated to helping others who felt overlooked or forgotten. In the last video, with Emily beside me, I addressed the audience. Our story took a dark turn, but it led us back to each other. Remember, it's never too late to reach out and mend what's broken. You're not alone. As the screen faded to black, the comments began to pour in. Stories of reconciliation, of hope rekindled. Our twisted reunion, born from shadows and fear, had sparked a beacon for others lost in their own darkness. Thank you for listening to my channel.